We're going to Mosaic Stadium right now. Taylor Shire joining us from the Regina Leader Post. Thank you, Taylor, for doing that. Where Jeremy O'Day will be meeting with the media this hour. The Riders, Taylor, proclaiming on Twitter they've won free agency. I'm sure you saw their tweet this morning. Agree or disagree, from your opinion?
Yeah, you know what? I would have to agree. They signed arguably the biggest running back free agent, probably the biggest O-lineman free agent, and those are two positions of need for this team in Ouellette and Hardrick. So, yeah, certainly the Riders were winners of day one of free agency, but I think a lot of people are sort of sleeping on what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers did last week, too, getting Brady Oliveira back, getting Dalton Schoen back, a couple of other key pieces from last year's team. So, while Winnipeg didn't do much on the opening day, I still think they were kind of a runner-up in terms of who they've been able to retain this year, aside from losing Hardrick.
What are we expecting out of Jeremy O'Day? Just an assessment of the 7 players that they officially added on Tuesday, or what are you walking into here in 30 minutes or so?
Yeah, just basically a recap of what they did yesterday and maybe what holes need to be addressed now before we open training camp. AJ Ouellette has flown to Regina, and he's set to meet with the media in just over an hour. So it'll be sort of I think Jeremy will just be sort of a preview to the main event with Ouellette's media conference coming up later. So, yeah, just basically a recap of the day, and I'm pretty sure Jeremy O'Day is a happy guy with all the guys he signed. I think they got everybody they wanted. They crossed all the key positions off on the to-do list, to need list. So I think it was a pretty successful day for Jeremy, and I'm sure he'll be happy to speak on it.
I wonder your thoughts on this. You've been covering this team closely for a couple of years now. What about the loss of people that the fans have gotten to know, like Jake Dolegala, Jamal Morrow to the Stampeders, Micah Tights, drafted, not homegrown because he's from Calgary, but he's left to sign with the Stampeders. What's your read on that?
Well, I guess I'll touch on each of them. The Riders obviously decided to sign Mason Fine over Dolegala this offseason. That was sort of an interesting, kind of mind-boggling decision based on how well Dolegala played last year compared to Mason Fine. He beat him out for the starting job after Fine got hurt and didn't let go of it. So that was kind of an interesting one. Although with Trevor Harris coming back, I think there's nothing to worry about in Saskatchewan. And then, I would say Ouellette's an upgrade over Morrow at running back, although Morrow's a bit of a fan favorite. I think Ouellette's going to sort of leap over him in terms of being that number one fan favorite type of player. And Micah Tights, he kind of fell off. He was obviously hurt 2 years ago, kind of fell off last year, wasn't the same player he was 3 years ago now. So I don't know if that's a big loss for this team because he sort of lost some playing time to A.J. Allen. And the Riders signed Adam Auclair from Ottawa to basically fill that spot. So I would say Saskatchewan sort of upgraded in 2 of those positions. They didn't really add any quarterbacks other than getting Harris healthy. So other than losing a few names who have been around for a while, I think they've still upgraded this team.
So my last question before I let you go and your arm's getting tired, what do you make of the players switching teams as often as they are? This is what the players wanted. I know that for a fact. They wanted one-year deals. So the fans are complaining about it. I to be honest, I think it's largely a good thing. And it's not a lack of loyalty, I don't think, with the players switching teams, because we're in a different era of sports than we ever were. That's my take. I think it's good. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you get, obviously, with one-year contract is teams switching players. So teams aren't handcuffed into these long-term deals where they are, stuck with the player, maybe with an unfriendly deal. Maybe they're only stuck with him for 1 year. That's not going to fit within the salary cap. He's not performing up to expectations. So I think it's team friendly as well, the 1 year deals. Although for the fans, it's certainly not great because you don't really, have that fan favorite that's sticking around for 6, 7, 8 years anymore. They're jumping around and players are going to where they're wanted, where they think they could win, but ultimately where the money is and where they feel valued. And in free agency, money talks, right? You can go and go to a place where you like, but if they don't offer you the right amount of money in the right term, whether it's 1 or 2 years, then you're not going to go there, right? So I think that's why we're seeing players jump around. It's just they're wanting to go where they feel valued, and obviously with the Riders making a number of moves yesterday, they not only offered the right amount of money to these guys, but they also sort of are selling the message that this is a turnaround season. This team's going to be different this year. Obviously, Corey Mason, new head coach, is helping sell that message.
Hey, do you have a minute or do you need to go?
Yeah, go for it.
Just on Corey Mace, you've been around this team enough. Obviously, at his news conference when he was introduced, got a new feeling around there with a new offensive coordinator, too, and Mark Mueller. What's your vibe on the new coach and the new direction?
Well, I wrote about a column on the Leader Post yesterday about it, and it's just a completely different script from where this team was, at the end of the 2023 season. It was just sort of, it was just disappointment. It was just everything was down. Then all of a sudden, they hire Corey Mace. Things start to pick up. They announce all these free agents in this last week. I feel like there's just so much sort of excitement around this team this year, and the 2022, even 2023 seasons. They're so far in the past because there's like a renewed sense of optimism here. And Corey Mace, I think, when he's speaking in fan and media forums, fans want to cheer for him, and then obviously players want to play for him. A number of players on social media over the last couple of months have said, Corey Mace is the guy. Like, this is the guy that he's nothing but salt of the earth type of guy that you want to play for. And so obviously we saw that yesterday with the number of players signing here. Some had connections with him, some didn't. Hardrick, for example, spoke about how he reached out to other players from around the league, and they all said, oh, Mace is the guy. Mace is the guy. You want to play for Mace. You want to play for Mace. So that's one example. They got Hardrick basically because Corey Mace came in here, and I don't know if they would have got him, if Corey Mace wasn't hired.
Taylor, wonderful insight. I appreciate it, man. You're doing a great job. I appreciate it. And have a great day. Thanks for fitting us in.
Of course. Talk to you soon.
Taylor Shire, the Leader Post, one of the great guys of this media business.